Good morning. Welcome to Trading Hour from the CNBC TV 18 EBIX Cash Studio. I am Reema Tendulkar. With me is Lata Venkatesh as well as Pavitra Parekh. Ladies, good morning. And Lata, it's good to see you here in the...
Thank you. Thank you. I'm just sitting in for a bit because of the Paytm IPO. But yeah, of course, great to be with both of you. It's just unfortunate that the market has chosen the color of your dress today. For the third day running, we are not able to see the bulls snatch the initiative.
Absolutely. For the last 2 days, we've been ending at the low point of the day, and the selling pressure was coming in the last 1 hour of trade. But today, from the word go, from the start of the trading session, we've seen selling pressure come through. We're practically at the low point of the day, and the Nifty has breached its 50-day moving average of 17,842, a level it was pretty much holding on to from the start of November. The mid caps, the small caps, they're underperforming, and there is a weakness seen in the Asian markets as well. So Hang Seng is down close to about 300 points. Hi, Pavitra.
Hi, Reema. Hi, Lata. Good morning. So, for the markets, there is some weakness coming through in the auto space once again, right? So, some of those names will come up for you. So, take a look at Tamo, Aisha, Hero, pretty much all of them actually some of the top losers on the Nifty today. The IT pack also looking quite weak. So, something like an HCL Tech, TCS, even Wipro seeing some cuts today. And of course, you have the new listings which will be up for you. So, Paytm, of course, we saw listing at a discount and then it slipped further. Sapphire, of course, had a good listing. We will track all of that market action. But first up, let me take you through everything we have lined up on the show for you over the next 1 hour. Key market indices are in the red as we speak, with the mid-caps dragging the street. We will be tracking this action closely over the next 1 hour.
Paytm and Sapphire Foods debuted on Dalal Street today. Paytm is down 25%, but Sapphire Foods has had a good listing. We'll get you more details on this.
And staying with India's biggest ever public issue, Paytm, Macquarie Capital Securities has initiated coverage on the stock with an underperform call. Suresh Ganapathy of Macquarie Capital Securities will be joining us in just a bit to discuss his recent report.
And lastly, we will be joined by the managements of CAMS as well as KSB to discuss the second quarter earnings fine print. All this and more in the next 60 minutes. But first up, let's turn our attention to Paytm. Well, the street and the jury was divided on Paytm and, on how the kind of subscription, etc. But the market has given its verdict. The stock is down 23%. On one hand, you had people believing that Paytm will do to the banking sector what private financials did to the public sector banks. But on the other hand, you had many who believed that, this is far too expensive for it to make sense from an investing point of view. But let's get cracking on the key details about this issue. It has opened with a 10% discount and now it's slipped even further. Yash, who's at the BSE, joins us with more details. Yash.
Well, it truly is a momentous occasion as a new generation technology company gets listed on India's oldest stock exchange. Paytm's 18,300 crore IPO, the largest ever which Indian capital markets have ever seen, has listed on the stock exchanges. Though it was a listing which a lot of investors would not have looked forward to. The stock listed with a discount of about 8%, and as we speak, those cuts have increased further. With this particular listing, Paytm was targeting a post-listing market cap of about 1.4 lakh crore rupees, but since the listing happened at a discount, the company has a market cap of about 1.2 lakh crore rupees. As far as the issue is concerned, about 10,000 crore was raised through offer for sale, which means it will go to the selling shareholders, and about 8,300 crore towards fresh issue. That is the fund which will come to the company, and the company has said that out of that, about 4,300 crore rupees is what it would be using towards strengthening the ecosystem at Paytm, and about 2,000 crore would be invested towards acquisitions as well as strategic partnerships. Finally, now that the listing is out of the way, what is the biggest trigger which investors have to look forward to? And that is Paytm's current ecosystem. It has about 333 million customers, 114 million annual transacting users, 21 million registered merchants. And if India's payment system has to grow at 5 times by FY26, then Paytm would be the biggest beneficiary. What are 3 things that investors have to be cautious of? One thing, that the company is loss-making. It has incurred negative cash flows in the past. Also, majority of the revenue comes from just one business, that is the payment services. And finally, the valuation. Paytm is trading at valuation of 49 times FY21 price to sales. So that is certainly not cheap, and that is something that investors have to look forward to.
Thank you very much, Yash. As Reema said before you, the street was divided even when the issue was underway between those who were devoted to the product and those who thought the share is expensively valued. I think we have to distinguish the product from the investment opportunity. There is no denying that Vijay Shekhar Sharma is a great
Disrupting the financial
technocrat
space
who has
also.
made life easy for us. But the stock market rewards only profits. It may reward soap makers and pizza sellers, even though that's not the most important thing in life and payments is more important. But the point is, where is the money? And one person who has valued the share at just 1,200 rupees is joining us now. That's Suresh Ganapathy, the banking analyst expert from Macquarie Capital Securities. Suresh, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate because Vijay Shekhar Sharma is not here. I would give anything for a conversation between him and you. But, as Yash was just telling us, 333 million people who have a Paytm in their wallet and 114 million annual actual transactions. So you don't think someday he can make money on this kind of a clientele?
So that's what we have tried arguing in our report, is that how much of these customers can actually be milkable or they are creditable, or rather they can get a bank credit. That's a big question mark. Now what happens here is that because Paytm can't lend, of course it has to depend upon its tie-up with various partners. And therefore what we are arguing here is that the distribution opportunity is limited, because if distribution alone could make tons of money, then why would banks not do that, right? So at the end of the day, they have got an amazing distribution network. At the end of the day, the real money is in lending. So, and distributor commissions have been coming down, the take rates have been coming down. So you have these challenges clearly in a distribution only model, which is what we're trying to point out in the report. And, just to put some numbers in perspective, let's take for an example, Paytm, of course, has 21 million merchants. The total number of merchants in India is 66 million odd, right? And 85% are micro SMEs, where clearly there is no profitable opportunity in our view, right? So how are you going to make money out of lending to those 85%, right? And for even the creme de la creme customers that bank lends to, right? The top 10% of the 60 million customers that we're talking about, the NPS for banks are 11-12%. So what are the opportunity that we're talking about when the actual experience on the ground has been pretty bad for even people who are actually lending to the top creme de la creme SME customers?
But under the current rules, they can't be lenders at all. You go on to say that they are unlikely to get a small finance bank license, and as a payment bank, they can't lend.
Yes, so as a payment bank, they can't. Of course, if they get a small finance bank, they can definitely lend. We are of the view that the probability of them getting a small finance bank could be relatively a bit lower. Of course, it all really depends upon what RBI takes a view on them. But this is our view currently.
Okay. Habits change very quickly as far as making transactions are concerned. We were all, Just Dial was very, very popular at one point in time. And then there was Flipkart. And then, there are still Flipkart shoppers who don't easily jump to Amazon, and Amazon shoppers who don't jump to AJIO, and AJIO shoppers who don't jump to the next guy. You just get habitual. But it is a large market. You don't think Paytm, with 333 million people at their beck and call, can become a mall?
Okay, so Lata, if you look at it, 333 million users they indeed have, but the monthly transacting users, which is the real number to look at, is 56 million or so as per the latest disclosure. So that is 1/6 the total number of users that we're talking about. So the actual sample set is low compared to what is the total sample set that you're looking at in terms of ability to monetize. Another important point, Lata, which we are missing here is everyone in the ecosystem. These are guys with very large deep pockets, like a Flipkart's PhonePe or Google Pay or Amazon. Now, you tell me, which country in the world does Amazon do flight tickets and bus tickets and train tickets? Nowhere. I mean, they're doing that in India, right? And the major objective of a player like, for example, an Amazon or a Google or whatever it is, specifically Amazon, is to improve their average order value. For them, financial services business thus becomes an enabler. So they will use it, they will cross-subsidize using the financial services business and be a very formidable competitor. Today, PhonePe has millions of users, millions of merchants. Same is the case with Google, same is the case with Amazon. So the competitive dynamics in the space in which, in my opinion, Paytm is operating is only going to get far more intense thereby driving the unit economics down in a big way. And let's not even talk about regulation. That's another elephant in the room, right?
That's right, that's right. Of course, yeah, more regulations can come for even BNPL guys, buy now, pay later guys, seems to be in the offing. But Suresh, you know, I was at the SBI conclave yesterday, and one of the big things, challenges that people, experts see before commercial banks is what if Google takes away your customer? What if everybody is transacting on Google and Google arranges everyone's lending rates and deposit rates, and you just go to the, the Google marketplace? So the worry was commercial banks will lose the market, lose their customer, and Google will arrange who will be the winner. Can't Paytm do that?
The one who has the balance sheet, the one who has the capital, and one who has the low-cost funding will dominate. So let us not take away the capability and the ability of the banks. Google eventually will have to depend on an HDFC bank to do an auto loan or to do a car loan. And nobody can give a loan at 10 to 11% rate, which a bank can offer. So in other words, a creme de la creme customer like a Lata Venkatesh, to some extent perhaps me, will always go to an HDFC bank to take a loan and not to any of the fintechs.
Suresh, 1 minute, Suresh. I'm taking your point, and you already demolished the idea that they will not be able to do well in the lending business. And, you know, HDFC Bank gets money at probably less than 3%. So I'm not saying, what I'm saying is, can they make commissions? If they arrange in their mall, in their upcoming mall, then banks may have to go through them and they could make a commission, you think?
That's why I said very clearly the opportunity is pretty limited. At best, you can scale up your business to a $350 million revenue purely acting as a distributor. I mean, the opportunity to act purely like a distributor and make large amount of money is limited. See, the context which you have to put in here, Lata, is that if you're going to be, say, $1 billion or a $2 billion market cap company, for that, it's okay to get a $350 million revenue. But in case you really want a higher valuation, that comes with the requirement of a balance sheet and a scale and a size, which distribution cannot give. So there is a mispricing with respect to what the market is trying to value, not necessarily Paytm, but in general the fintechs versus what they can capably generate through their balance sheet, or for that matter through their distribution business.
Okay. So now if you can explain to the viewers how you arrived at 1200, and more importantly, what is the likely factor that may falsify your hypothesis?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so, I mean, there's no magic wand here. Clearly, valuation in some of these fintechs obviously is an art rather than a science. So what we actually did is we took two approaches. We actually took a price to sales growth multiple, and also we try to cross-check with a DCF kind of evaluation where we actually do a longer period forecast. What we did was that globally the fintechs, whatever PayPal and others of the world which are listed, they trade anywhere between 0.3 times to 0.5 times price to sales growth ratio, on a forward basis. So we have been a bit generous in assuming the revenue forecast assumptions for Paytm. So we did assume that they may be in a position to deliver a 25% CAGR of revenue. So on that, you give a 0.5 times multiple means you're possibly talking about a 13 times multiple. So 13 times an FY23 sales gives me a value of 1,200. So that's how we have arrived at the multiple. And a DCF also more or less gives some kind of a target around that particular 1,200 levels.
Okay. And what will falsify this hypothesis?
Clearly, if UPI is made monetizable. I mean,
but can UPI ever be monetizable?
See, the government is, in my opinion, will never do something which is negative for the consumer. Now, after saying that you don't have to pay anything on P2P or P2M transaction, then you go back and say you'll have to do 10 basis points or 5 basis points. I think the positioning could go wrong, right? Very clearly. So the probability of that happening is low. But you can never say never. Very well that can happen. And also, I believe that in case Paytm indeed lands up getting a banking license, and of course, the big and if they have the credit underwriting capabilities, collection infrastructure in place, and the mechanism to deliver credit and underwrite credit profitably, then obviously our thesis goes wrong.
Okay. Well, I do want to invite you again for your excellent fintech report, but that on another day. Suresh Ganapathy, pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much. Later on in the day, we will have Vijay Shekhar himself, and we will try and toss some of these questions that Suresh has raised to him as well. For the moment, thank you very much, Rima and Pavitra, for letting me take a segment of your show.
Thank you, Lata, for that. There was something interesting that I learned or heard last week when I was tracking the Latent View Analytics IPO. It opened around the same time as Paytm. And that saw bumper subscription. If you remember, that was the IPO. It was just a 600 crore IPO, but it saw record subscription 1.1 lakh crore. So I asked a lot of people on the street, what is the reason for that? And they said money which was locked into Zomato got freed only prior to Paytm as well as Latent. It wasn't available for Policy Bazaar. So that money, investors had a choice, HNIs, whether you put it in Paytm or in Latent View, and they chose to put it in Latent View. So which is why that saw a 339 times subscription, while Paytm, we know, of course, there is a size angle. But money, that's the technical reason that money chose to flow into a smaller data analytics IT company, Latent View, rather than a Paytm. Well, that's on the IPOs. We've got